So now we're going to kind of move on. We've done the interview portions about YouTube. Now we're going to just talk about opinion wise. We're going to talk about some fun stuff here. Because at the end of the day, you and I are best friends, and we don't always get to talk. We used to talk a lot back in the day, but honestly, like you said, you've been busy with your significant other and your careers and your job and other stuff going on in your life. So now we could kind of talk now more. So let's just shoot the shit. One of the things I asked you about a week ago was I always like asking people certain questions like this because I'd like to know what everybody's mindset on this is. And that's everybody's top 10 favorite matches of all time. And we're going to stick to just WWE because I know you don't watch a whole lot of TNA as much, and you certainly don't watch a lot of New Japan. But you were a WWE fan. You still are to a certain degree on certain stuff. So I asked you from what would you say were your top 10 all time favorite WWE matches, whether that be in the past or present, just in general, starting with number 10 and then working your way up to your number one all time favorite. Like, what were your top 10 favorites starting with number 10?
I was supposed to make it 10. I made a top 5.
There you go. There we go. The inner Sin Cara.
Can I do my top 5?
Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to tell you, Mitch Sin Cara Mitch Smith back again with his botching. If you guys don't get that,
I don't think that's a botch. Unless I read your thing wrong, let me just say, hey, just a heads up. No, this is a botch from you. You sent me May 17th at 5:24. Hey, just a heads up for Friday on the podcast. I'm going to ask you for your top 5 favorite WWE matches of all time.
I did. Holy, okay, I must have did then. Okay, I meant to say top 10. So tell you what. Well, how about we'll do a few honorable mentions from you, and then you do your top 5 from number 5 to number 1. How about that? So can you think of a few honorable mentions before your official list that you can think of? Okay.
I'll give my honorable mentions at the end.
Okay.
I'll give my honorable mentions at the end. How about?
Okay, yes. Okay, so my bad. On to Sin Cara.
Number 5.
Yeah.
So starting at number 5, it says, I put on my list Benoit versus Angle at Royal Rumble 2003. Do note, everyone, that I am picking them from the years that I really watched and matches that I watched as a kid over and over, but matches I can still go back and watch, right? So, forever top 10 matches or even top 5 matches, they will always fluctuate. They'll always fluctuate with me. So, Benoit versus Angle at the Royal Rumble 2003 for the WWE Championship is phenomenal. Great match. I recommend you all to check it out if you haven't. At number 4, I have Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels at Mania. That was just at Mania 05. Phenomenal match. Phenomenal build. And they put on a clinic in that match. Number 3, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 02. The reason I love this was Shawn Michaels' return match. He never missed a beat. Really, Shawn Michaels didn't even need a stipulation in order to make this match good. But the build up to it, I remember as a kid watching it, and I still go back and I watch it all the time. Triple H and Michaels just had so much chemistry with the weapons, with the story that was being told. It was just phenomenal. And I always go back and watch this match still to this day. Going into another match that I will watch forever. It's one of my favorite matches. It was the Elimination Chamber of 2002 when Shawn Michaels won the world title. That's the best Elimination Chamber ever, bar none. You can name off the current Elimination Chambers that currently happened. You can name any Elimination Chamber match that is out there. It will never beat the first one. In my eyes, as a kid, this is by far the best Elimination Chamber, held in Madison Square Garden, had Saliva playing Chris Jericho out to the ring. You had just stories that were intermeshed in this. You had Rob Van Dam, you had Kane, you had Booker T, you had Triple H, you had Chris Jericho, you had Shawn Michaels. It was just a it was just such a great environment, and that was the first ever Elimination Chamber, and how exciting it was to see a structure like this. Even seeing Rob Van Dam innovate and jump from one end to the cage and like Spider-Man, like they did a lot of things that were just different. Triple H crushing his trachea from Rob Van Dam doing a frog splash, like that match is just. I can go back still to this day and I can still get chills, and the chills from that match. So I had to pick that, and I have my reasons for that match because the build-up also connects to Triple H and Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam. Everybody had their own rivalries, which I loved. And then my number one, I have Mick Foley versus Randy Orton at Backlash '04. I will always go back and watch this. It was in Edmonton, Alberta. It was a year in the making. They built this for a year, and I loved it. And even with Mick Foley legitimately having not a great performance at WrestleMania 20 when they did the handicap match of Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution, Mick Foley didn't perform to the level that he should have performed at, right? So him to regain that passion and become Cactus Jack and go against Randy Orton, there's many things that were built up. Mick Foley originally returned to referee the Kevin Nash and Triple H Hell in a Cell match, and it just slowly built from Randy Orton being a legend killer, spitting in Mick Foley's face, Mick Foley cutting his infamous promo in Hershey, Pennsylvania, where he had Randy Orton spit in his face again. He punched himself in the eye, split his eye open, getting triple teamed efforts by Evolution, leading into Mania, then ending it at an extreme match with Randy Orton. There's my reasons. I go back and watch that match all the time. Was it a clinic? No. Was it a Benoit versus Angle wrestling clinic? No. Was it an Angle versus Michaels wrestling clinic? No. But it was definitely a match. Like Elimination Chamber had the build-up. Triple H and Shawn Michaels had that build-up in that story. And Foley and Orton had a year's build-up for that match. So those are my reasons. Honorable mentions. I'll name 5 honorable mentions on the top of my head that I would like to put in there. And I'm going to pick it for matches that I watched back in my time, right? I will say Survivor Series, Team Bischoff versus Team Austin. That was a really good one. I will say, even though it's ECW, but it was under the WWE banner, I will say that I truly enjoyed Rob Van Dam versus John Cena. So even though it was under ECW, it was still under the WWE banner, so I'll pick that one as one. I will say the TLC match from Raw between Jeff Hardy and Undertaker. The ladder match, not TLC. I would say the Undertaker versus Ric Flair, WrestleMania 18. Really, really enjoyed that match. I just love the story and the build up to that. And honestly, I'm gonna pick a current match. I'm gonna pick a current match that we ended up just seeing. Just because I want to end it, and since I'm kind of on an Undertaker train right now, I'll say the Boneyard match. I thought the Boneyard match was excellent for the first ever cinematic match. So I will say that one, just to go out of like the 2002-2006 range, right? So that's what I'll pick. Those are my honorable mentions.